Good evening, my name is Alejandro, and that was the worst introduction in a Spanish accent I could have ever done. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Lights Out League Racing, Season 27, Race 4 here at the Circuit de Catalunya, Barcelona. A track that everybody should know, a complete circuit, of course, used by drivers in real life. As a winter track, as a test circuit, and they spend a huge amount of time pounding the track, so it's imprinted on everybody's minds. We're following from race 3 last week at Belgium, 100% race, which I applaud everybody that attended, put on a great show for us. I almost jizzed my pants in moments, and Theo here came out on top for his first win of the season, and demonstrated some great strategic calls with that late rain, and he's looking to be one of the potential favourites for today's mandatory tyre race, which means we have to use a set of softs, mediums and hards throughout the race, at least one set of each, which does mean as well it's going to be a scorching day, and this track is known for its high tyre wear, especially on that front left. So it's all down to how the drivers plan their strategies and manage their tyres during the race. But before the race, we do have a qualifying session, which Theo will lead us through. What's he gone and done? He's gone off the track. We're not going to be watching Theo. We're going to be watching Terry's Reds for a hot lap. I think Theo must have thought it was the old track layout with the change. But anyway, Terry's runs down to turn 1, where we'll see most of the overtakes happen this race. And you want to touch the curb on the inside of turn 2 and then start climbing uphill around the long right hand of turn 3, where you need to have a balanced setup on your car, otherwise you'll be going off into the wall on the far left end of sector 1 with 22-1. Round Respol turn 4, where you can go out and in or in to out, whichever way is best line. Now turn 5, which is a nasty downhill braking zone where it's easy to brake a bit too late, going downhill down to turn 6, and then the tricky turn 7 and 8, which is an uphill climb, easy to validate here on the inside of turn 8, which Terry's navigates really well. Flat out round to the right hand of turn 9 to open up that DRS, where we're going to see again potentially 1 or 2 little overtakes at the end of sector 2. Smooth left-hander of turn 10, and then easy loose traction on turns 11 and 12, where you want to open up your throttle to go flat out on the final 2 corners of 13 and 14 and take as much of the exit curve as possible. Terry's quite conservative there and takes the first lap of a 1:12.8. I think we'll probably see low 12s as the pole time, but we shall see. That's Theo coming round. Is that his first flying lap? And he's at 1:25.9 as Amadee takes a 1:11.8, so he's eclipsed my predictions. Katamese 12.5, so a little bit of time I initially said for Terry's. As the drivers are coming in now, Caps Lock going in P2 with a 12.1. Had a fantastic start to the season, claimed a podium on every single race, and it's be interesting to see what he does here today, as we'll watch Geezer come round to set his first flying lap. Goes up to provisional P4 with a 12.6, just behind Katamese, where nobody wants to be. Sidegate's just going around to start his first lap, back with us after missing last week. Watch Benji boy, his name's on board in the Discord. I'm never bored watching Benji. Goes up to provisional P4 just above Geezer with a 12.5. Good start time for him. We've got a little bit of team play potentially here as Theo goes on provisional pole 11.837, just 5 hundredths ahead of Amadee, and gives a nice little slipstream to his teammate Jax. I love it when you see a bit of team play. I love it. We'll stick up, unless that's Caps Lock coming around for another timeline, or is he going for another lap? Stays P3 with a 12.1, but does improve his time. We'll go back on with Jax. What have we got coming around? No, we'll see what Cygate can do. As he come around to set his first flying lap. P8, 1:13.4. And one of the kicks. Come on to start one there. It's Jalaka. Unfortunately crashed up quite early last week and missed the 100%. Marty on the Discord. Good evening, Marty. Unfortunately missing this week. He's got norovirus. And is in hospital, so as Jax goes up to provisional P4 with a 12.3. Brilliant start time for him. As Amadee now takes pole again with 11.6. Moving Theo off the top. Apparently, where's the bump? I might be quite naive in knowing where this bump is. Theo says there's a bump on the first lap. So we've got Portuguese coming around first, just ahead of Jalaka. Portuguese potentially up near the top, goes P3, 11.8. And with the mix, Jalaka goes P11 with a 23. Bit more time to find for him. He just crossed the line. It was Big Raki up to P10 in the second kick. As Benji gets himself up to P5. Lennon going round to set his first flying lap. What this Mandatory tyre race means is that everyone will want to save themselves a set of soft tyres for the race. And Jalaka's retired from the session, as I just mentioned, so set himself a time and saving him. He could have probably gone again with another set of softs, but he's saving them, saving them all. So setting himself a lap, getting his setup locked in. He's on a potential hot lap. No catching his head, so we'll stay with Lennon. Alpine potentially one of the favourite teams to go for constructors this season, but there is a strong quota as Lennon goes really wide round turn 10. And Big Raki's disqualified for blocking the pit lane. What happened? Did he crash in there? Oh no, Raki. So both kicks are out, and Raki will start from the back as Lennon goes P7 with a 12.5. Callan goes round to start his first flying lap. Cathany's coming around, doesn't look like he's going to improve. He does though. I was wrong, he improved on a couple of final corners. P6 with a 12.365, just 0.02 behind Benji. So we'll jump on them with Callan. Yet to get a podium this season, and I predict one is coming very, very soon. Got pole and fastest lap last week. His strategy just didn't play in with the weather either. So we've got a bit of team play here again on the straight as he gets a slipstream off his teammates. Aston Martin's slightly in his way to maximise that slip. Callan comes round, turn 13, flat out, maximising the curves like I said on Terry's run. Comes round the final corner, crosses the line, pole, provisional pole, 11.635. 500ths ahead of Amadi. It's going to be tight. Tighter than a nun's job. As again, look at, we've got lots of team play going on here. Aston Martin's added it again. That's Theo giving it to Jax this time. You love to see it. I love bread. I love it. And this track is known for overtakes. It is a difficult one to actually overtake during the circuit, but going down to turn 1 and to turn 10 with the aid of DRS. Oh, and that was Theo that's gone off. So we lost it going on, going around turn 13, probably why he invalidated his first run out. But yeah, that wasn't that was a bit tricky going around turn 8. And Jax makes a last-minute call to jump into the pits. So we'll jump on the side gate. He's 2/10 up on his time. Can he get himself into the 112s? Crosses the line. 12.8 just behind Terry's. Still says P12. But very, very close. Mr. Caps Lock. Yeah, this track's you can overtake. I think it's a 2023. Caps Lock 12 stays where he is, P5 for now. As his teammate's just coming around to set his next flying lap. Has 0 practice at all. Wasn't meant to be racing today, but because he's moving, but got himself all organised and is joining us again today, which we're always pleased with. Keys is just starting his flying lap. Captain's come around for a flying lap. Into the pits. And Theo, as the track temperature's ramping up, gets into the 11.6s. Just 100th ahead of Callum. The driver's eking every inch of time out of the car. Terry's is gone off. He's pulled out of his lap. So we'll jump in Portuguese and see if he can improve his current P4. And he doesn't. He jumps in. Is that going to be it? He's going to go again on some fresh soft tyres. Catlock in the pits as well. Mr. Keezer Geezer is invalidated, so he's going to go in, potentially change some tyres. See what Katamis does, and everyone's jumping in the pits, so they're either in an in lap or have not maximised their lap. Terrace has invalidated his lap as well, so he's not going to be setting a time. Has he got time to get in and out again? Elite Dave yet to set a time and is potentially going for one run. And we see him right in the last minute. So Amadi, the only one really out on track to come out and set as he comes out in his out lap. And Lennon's coming out again, and Sygate's coming out. And then leaving it right to the last minute to have optimum track temperature. It's a really tricky tricky circuit, as you can see. Amadi just a bit of a wobble there on turn 10. With the abrasive surface on this tarmac, it does have high tyre wear and high lateral forces, especially on the front left tyre. So the fact that drivers have to use different tyres helps their longevity in the race, but it's in what strategies do they There's a lock up on turn 1 from Amadi. And he's going to be vying, trying to get himself on pole. And it looks like he's pulled out of the lap. He has, he's 2.5 seconds out, so unless he's got some extra fuel in his car, this isn't his flying lap. We'll see what Lennon can do. I don't know if he can be a 10th off already. He's lying to me. The circuit, of course, was built as part of the 1992 Barcelona Olympics development. And the first F1 was actually 1991, when Nigel Mansell took the victory. And it's, as I mentioned earlier in the stream, it's used for winter testing because it's just a complete circuit with the different types of corners. He's just slightly down on his time. Can he find some extra time in his final sector and get himself higher than P9? He comes round the final corner. Currently P9. This is his final run. And P6. And Sygate's pulled out of his lap. Also we'll watch Benji's actually doing his out lap. The couch lock is on his out lap. Amadi is not on, he's invalidated, so I think he's going to struggle to improve. Terry's has jumped into the pit, so he's not going to improve on his time. Elite Dave just starting his first and only flying lap. So it'll be interesting to see where he comes out. All this got his first Lights Out League racing podium last week, as Katami's got up to P6 with a 12.2. And he's going straight into those pits. As Kizagis is just on his out lap. Portuguese on his out lap, so Portuguese will be the last one to set a time, as Theo's invalidated. And we'll have time to set another lap. And gets a slipstream off his teammate. You love it if you love it. So Jax, I think that's him done. As Benji comes round for the final time. Goes up to visual P6 with a 12.1. It's getting tight in those low 12s. As Catstock will start P5 for highest. It gets into the 111s. But not quite enough to jump up a position. Alan's invalidated, so he's not going to finish any higher than P2. So currently Theo's the one to beat. As Amadi is not up on his time as yet. It's going to be tight though. He just needs to find a little bit of time in this final couple of corners. And it's P3. Kisa goes P7. And Portuguese takes pole. 11.492. RKO out of nowhere. Pulled out of the bag last minute. Theo improves in his time, but not enough to get as quick as Portuguese. Elite Dave doesn't manage to set a time. And will start P14. Where did that come from for Portuguese? As Katami's is not going to improve his time and will go straight across the line. Great lap there from Portuguese. And shows his intent for the race. Callum invalidated turn 1 on the final run. And said GG's to Theo. And did not expect Portuguese. So Portuguese is on pole with 11.4 and Theo will join him on the front row. Callum and D on the second row with Catsock and Lennon on the third. Benji P7 with Keyser P8. Katami's P9 and Jack's round off the top 10. Terry's 11. Sygate 12. Jalaka 13. Dave 14. And Big Raki, disqualified, will start from the back. Can he do a last to first like Theo last week? I'd love to see it. Portuguese saying his lap was absolutely perfect. Marty saying what a lap. It was a lap. It was that good. He can sit on my lap. I'll now get an erection. As the drivers now. This is the integral part, sorting out their strategies. What tyre will everybody start on? And as I mentioned, it's a mandatory tyre race, so they have to use all 3 dry tyre compounds throughout the race. Katamis hates that last corner. And it's not just that, you have to sort out your fuel loads. And I'm an idiot, of course. I know. Thank you. Thank you, Marty. Well, if you like, I saw a joke today. What did Cinderella do when she got to the ball? She gagged. So Portuguese again, yet like Callum, yet to get a podium. So would today be any better opportunity? And will lead us round for the formation lap. As I look at the tyre wear. So Elite Dave, the only one to start on the hards. And it's a good strategy to go for. Caps Lock, Terry, Sygate, all starting on the mediums. Jalaka on the mediums, Raki on the mediums. So interesting calls from the guys on the grid, and everyone else going racy on the softs. That includes Kiza, Portuguese, Theo Jax, Katamis, Benji of course, Callum Lennon and Amadi. So all going to look to try and get a good start off the line, expecting potentially an early safety car. This is a 4.65 kilometre clockwise circuit that Portuguese is leading us round. 14 corners, 8 to the right, 6 to the left, 2 DRS zones, 1 which we're going down now after turn 9. It's going to be very interesting turn 1 as Portuguese will lead us off the line. Theo joining him on the front row, Callum just behind with Amadi. Caps Lock the highest one up on those mediums with Lennon P6, Benji P7 and Kiza P8. Mercedes looking to get some big points today. For the constructors, Katamis P9 and Jack's rounding off that top 10. Terry's P11, I think he'll get settled into the race after no practice. Just keep it in the white lines, no penalties. Sygate P12, Jalaka 13. Elite Dave not managed to set that lap, and Big Raki getting disqualified from the back of the grid. So Portuguese getting into his grid position. It's a 595 metre run down to braking zone of turn 1, and there's a 50% chance of a safety car. Will we get one? It's nice to mix it up sometimes if it's at a different part of the race than you expect, but it also does mess up Terry's and Sygate both invalidating their pit boxes. Naughty, naughty. And then we get a better view here. We're going there on Theo's 5. It's lights out and away we go. It is a good launch off the line from Portuguese. I think Callum's got a good one and just got ahead of Theo. Theo's start is hampered. Amadis just blocked on the inside from Callum, and side by side just enough room there left by Theo for Amadi. Keys looks like he's one of the biggest losers at the moment. Terry's has lost a few positions, but everyone looks like they've made it through safe and sound. It does. You love to see it. You love to see it. As we're coming downhill now, around turn 6 and turn 7 and 8. And it's a tricky one when everyone's tyres aren't quite to temperature. Going too wide. And a bit of train now. As Sygate's already been dropped from the front pack, is just closing back in and defending his inside line. As Theo and Callum side by side coming round. Oh, and it's a little bit of slide on the curve from Amadi, and almost took out Theo. As Caps Lock and Lennon side by side going around the final couple of corners. It's tricky to do it there, but a brilliant driving. That was risky business. Katami straight into the pits and getting off those softs, and this is a normal Katami strategy where he goes straight onto a different tyre, getting out of that DRS train and getting off that soft tyre. He just hopes not for a safety car and goes onto the hards. So Azamadi getting ahead of Theo, going around turn 4. It's tight. Theo's pushing around Benji and Caps as Caps Lock's lost a couple of places down to turn 7 and collide a bit with Benji. Going around turn 5. And Caps Lock's not had a good start to the race so far. Looking very racy and just it gets very tight in a couple of corners. He just needs to settle down. There's another 31 laps to go. It doesn't have any damage to his wings by the looks of it, which is good. As DRS is activated, so Portuguese will be under threat now from Callum. He's right on his gearbox, so it should be an easy overtake as drivers are looking very racy. Callum up to the lead of the race now. It's the DRS train for now, so it doesn't look like anyone's going to make that overtake. Raki making a good move, and Terry's following through, and Elite Dave, all three going past Cygate. And getting themselves off the place. There's Caps Lock and Keezer making their way round turn 4, and Caps Lock gaining position of the Mercedes boy. Caps Lock struggling a little bit at the start of this race, but he seems to have settled now. Up to P7, and the highest of the medium runners, so maybe he's lost out on the soft tyre. Jackson's up to P6 now, Lennon P5, so the Alpines are looking strong. As I mentioned earlier, they're one of the favourites for the championship. Aston Martin currently leading the way with Mercedes. One team that's going to miss out today is the Ferrari boys. If Lennon goes wide, don't want to do that too often. And Callum's actually broke from the DRS of Portuguese. He's all under threat from Armadi now. He's got ahead of Theo. Caps Lock is out of the DRS train and will need to try and catch up to Jack Daniels ahead of him. And I think in a few laps, once the tyre wear occurs, as Jax is spun on turn 4. That's unfortunate. We saw him. Oh no, it's his teammate. Down to P10, and that's unfortunate. Little clip of the curb. As Katamiz gets himself up to P14 past Jalaka. And the only one to make a pit stop so far. Get it out of the way and just pound some laps in. He will lose out, of course, from the DRS train, but he will have better tyre wear of being in open air. So will Portuguese be under threat from the cars behind? I don't think he's got DRS. Him and D have dropped Theo by the looks of it, and he doesn't have his keys. Is now going in the pits, and will he be the first to get off his soft tyres other than as Jax is going in as well? So damage limitations for Jax. So it is just tyre changes. So Keys is going onto the hard tyres. And same for Jax as well. He might as well. And we'll both at least have each other to race and get themselves where they can work together. With Katamiz, who just slots in behind, side by side with Jax. Oh, it's going to be tight. Oh, it's going to be tight. Oh, almost tears. Both held strong. Almost got pinched on turn 2, but yeah, if they can work together and use the DRS, they can catch up with the drivers ahead and gain an advantage, maybe of a bit of an undercut. As Callum has pulled ahead now, and he's got his motor on. And we're looking for that first podium of the season as Portuguese make a decision to get off these soft tyres. So the tyre wear, I think, is really, really bad. Has only managed 5 laps on them. And is going straight onto those hard tyres. I think the other runners potentially maybe waiting for a safety car. And I think Portuguese will get out just ahead of his teammate as he's just coming around turn 14. So Portuguese will be able to punch some laps in some clean air. We'll have to navigate Cygate first. Who's up to P10. Elite Dave, currently P9 behind Terry's. Terry's is a tricky customer to overtake. Knows how to position his car. And Dave didn't manage to get himself a quali lap on it, otherwise I reckon it would be up a bit higher, and had a great strategy call last week and got himself P3 on the podium. It'll be a feat for him to do it again this week, but let's see what he can do. Starting on the hard, so it will come to him later on in the race. We're currently starting lap 7. As Theo now jumping into the pits and getting off those softs. Callum and Amadi and Lennon still carrying on. Benji still carrying on as well. And will Theo go onto those hards too? The same as his teammate. He does. So they're going all looking racy at the end of the end of this session. As Cygate's going in as well, getting off those mediums early days, getting onto those softs and getting them out the way. So he will end the race on the hard tyres. So interesting call from Cygate. He's potentially expecting a safety car, so if he jumps onto those hards, he won't have to pit again. So very interesting call from Cygate. Love it. Love the thinking. Cygate, of course, last season on the mandatory tyre race in Monza, made some brilliant strategy calls and got himself P4. And that was it. A little bit lost of traction from Callum as he comes around turn 10. Still without still out of DRS, and as he dives in the pits now, Amadi follows through, not in his pants, as Lennon carries on and will take the lead of the race. Lennon is in the lead, followed by Caps Lock, who's managed to close in, and Caps Lock, of course. So Callum, D going on the mediums. Interesting. So I think Amadi maybe having a similar thinking to Cygate, where thinking that if a safety car comes out, he can go into the hards and do to the end of the race, as Portuguese falling out of that DRS. Has lost a couple of places and is behind Callum and D, but ahead of Theo still. So waiting for those hard tyres to switch on. So I wouldn't be surprised if D leapfrogs Callum. So Caps Lock all over the back of Lennon. Lennon, I'd expect to pit in the pit after this lap. And Caps Lock staying in that DRS, so at least have a good push down the start-finish straight. And he's just all stuck behind Lennon. He's just so slow around those final couple of corners. The tyre wear absolutely crazy for him. So Caps Lock now takes the lead of the race. Big Racky will take P2. And Benji gets off those soft tyres as well. And Elite Dave taking that P3 spot on those hards. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes. So Lennon going on those hard tyres. The same as his teammate. And Benji in the Williams jumping on those hards too. Getting rooted on by his teammate Marty in the stream. Good eye, Marty, good eye. And Benji just ahead of Kizagiza in P10. These Kizagiza tyres will be up to temperature and be looking to make a quick move. And he does on the inside of turn 3. Great overtake from Kiza. As Benji tyres not quite turned on yet, and he's got Jax and Katamis for company just behind. Amadi has got past Callum up to P5. Marty's still watching. I love you, Jenny. I'm still watching. And Callum's sticking with Amadi, and I think he needs to. And he'll have a bet. He'll have a brain fart like I've just had. He'll have a better final stint on the tyre compounds, as Terry's now jumping in, getting off those mediums. Now what will Terry's do? Is he going to hards to softs? He is. So Terry's going hards and then looking to finish racy on those soft tyres. So what Terry's does not want to see is a safety car. Otherwise that will mess up his race. As Jack's making a double overtake on Benji and Keyser and getting himself up to P9 down that turn 1 with the aid of DRS. Really an overtake by Jack's, but Benji's not giving it up as his tyres have just got to temperature. He's on the inside turn 4, and great battle back there from Benji. Jack's trying to keep it on track as he span it on turn 4 a few laps to go. Looking to bag some good points for Aston Martin. So everyone just out of DRS at the moment. Callum's stuck behind Amadi. As Capslock now jumping into the pits to get off those mediums. What will Capslock do? I would do what Cygate did. I'd do soft to hards. Capslock going on those hards. So maybe everyone having confidence in their fellow drivers and no safety car coming out. Where will Capslock come out as Theo goes through? Will they go side by side? Capslock just ahead of Lennon. And it's not as tight as I thought it was. As Jack's making the overtake on Benji, back up to P9. Down to turn 1. These are just watching for now, and Katamis at the back of that train. Harvesting his ERS, which he's known to do. Very unique driving style. Where he harvests his ERS and uses it in the rest of the lap. Harvests it during the lap and then spunks it down the straight, which he doesn't seem to be doing at the moment. Needs to get some good points on the board for Haas team. Cats, of course, missing this week. We all miss Cats. Terry's just on those hards now. As Big Racky now getting off those medium tyres. He's done good 11 laps on them. A good stint from him as Callum and D go through. Portuguese will go through as well. What will Big Racky's strategy be? He's going onto the hard, so he's going to be finishing racy on those softs as well. And comes out just ahead of that train. So Big Racky pumping in some laps. He's got himself ahead of these drivers, and Jack's just getting caught on the inside of Racky, and both him and Benji go off. And Benji's got a damaged wing. Just a yellow flag though. That was unfortunate. I don't think I wouldn't. By the looks of it, it didn't seem like anyone's fault as such. It was just 3 drivers wide on a very tricky corner, and 2 of them went off. They tried to, and this won't help Benji's race at all. Will he try and do a short-term pain and just stay on the hards for a while, and then change his wing to when he goes onto the mediums, or will he pit now? His wing's dragging on the floor a bit. Interesting to see. So Elite Dave leading the way, the only one to start on those hard tyres. So it'll be extra racy as this race unfolds. He's got Callum and Amadi chasing behind. Callum got back ahead of Amadi. Portuguese 3 seconds behind, so has been dropped from those front 2. It's hard to catch when they're in the DRS. Theo currently running P5 and just loses his back end, going around the tricky turn 4, and he's done it a couple of times. this week. He did it a couple of times on the on qualifying, and he's done it exactly the same place where his teammate did. And it's down to P7. So it's not going as well as it did for him last week, as Portuguese gets himself a track limits penalty as well. So that will hamper his podium chances. So this opens up, it's looking a bit tricky as well. The tyre wear is looking a little bit rough for these drivers, trying to keep the cars on the track. Woo! Yeah, I'm drifting and done 13 laps on these tyres, so that's enough for Elite Dave on these hards. And going on to those medium tyres. So again, another one to look quite racy at the end of for the last stint. And will he get ahead of Jack Daniels? He has. We've got a yellow flag. It's a Red Bull. And it's Seigate coming around turn 9. He's managed to keep his car going though. And he just lost traction going flat out around the corners. Seigate's just, I've missed him pitting on the hard, so that's Seigate for the end of the race now. Doesn't have to pit again. Yeah, interesting strategy call from Seigate. Jack, the only one yet to do any pit stops. Running P15, but going strong. Gets points for finishing, of course. There's Callum leading the race now, with Armadi in tow. And closes in, but not quite close enough yet to get past Callum, who plants his car right in the middle of the road. Portuguese P3. So if everyone's done we're in the middle stint. That's Elite and Catanese side by side. Elite gets up to P9 with a great overtake down to turn 1 on Cat. And he's right behind Keyser and Raki. 4-car battle here, and Jack will be closing in. Benji has carried on with this damaged wing and has got Terry's for company, so he'll take the short-term pain. He's going to be sweating like Mike Tyson at a spelling contest, wanting to get that race win. Get that podium, but Armadi's just closing in. Not quite close enough again. Catslock 4.2 seconds behind Portuguese, so he's not in a position as yet for a podium, but if he can close that gap, then his podium streak will continue, as Elite now making a move on Keyser Geezer and working his way through this train, is right on the gearbox. There's Terry's and Benji side by side. Terry's up to P12 and great overtake, and rudimentary one, especially with Benji's damaged wing, who's looking to fight back as he did before on turn 4 and the inside. Can he turn his car in enough? As racking Elite Dave side by side. Elite Dave's got ahead. Oh, just clipping. Was there enough room to turn in there for Elite Dave? Well, that's relegated Big Raki. Doesn't seem to have any wing damage, which is thankful. He's knocked him down to P10. On the inside of Catanese, late break from Big Raki. Gets himself up to P9. Risky move. As Catanese drifts out of turn 12. Benji's got himself back ahead of Terry's. Terry's will have DRS again. And Terry's gets himself up to P12. Will Benji try and fight back again, going up to turn 4. It's his signature move so far this race. And he does. Oh, but he pulls out that one, just not quite close enough. Ooh, risky. Train here, Giza leading. The train's been dropped from Elite Dave, who's now closed in on Theo. And Theo's just struggling a little bit this week. Not showing the race pace as his championship challenges. And Elite Dave on those fresh mediums did the alternate strategy, starting on those hards, and is now pumping in some laps. We'll have the DRS. Is he close enough to make the move on Theo? As Theo defends the inside, Benji gets himself a track limits, and Dave goes through. Yeah, takes a lot of the curb in the inside of turn 2, which will hamper his exit. As Jalaka now going into the pits and getting off those medium tyres. Benji up to P12. Jalaka going on the hard tyres, so we'll be looking to finish racing on those soft tyres at the end. Callum and D still stuck to each other like jizz on a sock. Catslot closing in on Portuguese. He's got fresher hard tyres. And we'll have a racier end. Because Capslot will be on the soft, so he is potentially in for a shout for a podium. Which at the start of the race, you would not have thought it. As Catamese now going in to go onto those medium tyres for the rest of the race. And that will be his tyre strategy done. Boo. Boo. As Terry's making and Benji switching positions again. Still ahead. Under 3 seconds now for Capslock. Lennon running a great race, currently in P5. I think he'll be happy with this. He says it's a dump track. But he's doing well so far. Elite Dave pulling Theo along with him, closing in on Lennon. So Lennon's going to have to do a little bit of defending, with Dave looking racy on those medium tyres. You can see his light flashing, so he's spunking all his ERS as well. A little bit of drift out of 12. As Amadi takes the lead of the race. And I think he's got into DRS zone. You can see the wings are open for Dave and Theo. Is he close enough I don't think he's close enough to make a move. He's not quite yet on Lennon, so Lennon's safe for now as Jax jumps into the pits. And we'll jump onto those medium tyres as well. And that's his pits done for this race. Can he pump some laps in for the final few as Catamese will go through? It's going to be tight. I think he's just going to make it. He does. Catamese will come out P13. But as I mentioned, everyone apart from Catamese still needs to pit again. The race will come to these pair in the final few laps. That's Big Raki making a move down to turn 10 on Giza. These two find each other on track again. I can't say it every week. Ooh, track friends. Ooh, friends. I predict Giza will probably take that position back again. There's Elite Dave now close enough to make a move on Lennon. Lennon defends the outside of turn 1. A great move from Dave. Pumping some laps in now as Giza does take that position back. And Theo's managed to get past Lennon as well. I think Lennon's been caught offline coming around turns 1 and 2. We've lost a couple of positions as Terry's and Benji switching positions too. Up to P10 for Terry's on lap 21 of 35. 15 laps to go, 14 laps to go. What did I say? Lap 21 of 33. Silly sausage. There's Benji looking for that inside of turn 4 again. Left plenty of room by Terry's, but Terry's on the inside of turn 5. Great racing from those boys. As Callum's now going into the pits and getting off these hard tyres. And we'll be on the mediums for the rest of the race. And that's his pits done. Armidy's still going on the hard tyres, so you're going to have to think that Callum's going to be favourites. As his teammate's just gone through and he should come out behind his teammate. As Keezer and Big Raki going down and Raki going up to P8. To and fro in these boys. There's Benji and Terry's again. Leapfrogging to P10. And we got a yellow flag. It's Sygate coming around out the exit of turn 2 and into turn 3. Still no yellow still no safety car, just a yellow flag. It's a tricky one if you don't have the right setup. His tyres are screaming at the moment. As he lets Catanese through and Jax through. Great driving as Amedy and Portuguese both in the pits now. Amedy having to go onto those hard tyres, which is going to probably be better for him for the last couple of laps. And Portuguese going onto soft tyres. You need to be on mediums, Portuguese. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, Lennon going in. Getting his medium tyres on. Geezer in the pits as well, getting his medium tyres on. Oh, Portuguese. You need medium tyres, my friends. Oh, you started on the softs. Caps Lock leading the way currently with Theo P2. Callum and Dave. Callum's got past Dave. And is he going to make a move? He does on the inside of turn 10. And Callum up to P2. He's got a good gap between him and Amadeus. Caps Lock now in the pits. Tyres screeching. And will be the last 10 laps on soft tyres, as Theo's going in as well. So interested to see what Caps Lock can do from here. Theo in and getting those medium tyres on. Benji coming in as well, so man will be able to change his wing as well and have a really strong finish to the race. Getting off those hard tyres, and he does, getting those medium ones on. There's Lennon and Theo side by side, right behind Terry, who's on those old hard tyres. It's a 3-car battle, and Lennon looking on the inside, side by side with Theo. Terry's is the cork in the bottle, and they just can't get past him. A little bit of carbon fibre flying off. Theo getting just ahead of Lennon, but both will have DRS, and Terry's will be under threat. And Terry's has lost traction going round turn 9 and damaged his wing, and it's a VSC. And a little bit of a wiggle there from Theo. And Portuguese going in now, getting off those soft tyres. That's benefited him. Big Raki going in as well. And Portuguese going on those mediums finally. Big Raki going on to those softs. For anyone that hasn't pit yet, this VAC's benefited them. Terry's and Theo both in. Theo's going to have to have a wing change. DRS is now enabled, so the race starts again. Terry's going on those soft tyres. And Theo having his wing change, and on the mediums. It's not been his week at all this weekend. Will potentially come out P12. It's going to be tight with Benji. And Benji does go through, so P13 for Theo. Damage limitations for Portuguese, currently running P8, right on the back of the Jax Daniels train. Where we've got Katamis, Big Raki benefiting with the pit stop and broke free from Kiza. That's Elite Dave now going in the pits from P2 and getting onto those soft tyres. And this will be a brilliant storming finish from Dave. So Jalaka the only one that needs to pit and go on the soft tyres. Lennon's just coming down, but will Elite Dave come out just ahead of him? He does, so Elite Dave comes out P4 with a 10-second gap of the front three. That's Portuguese getting just ahead of Jack Daniels up to P6 with the aid of DRS. Overtake from the Mercedes driver. With Katamis and Big Raki side by side. Katamis on the inside of turn 4. Rise the curb a little bit, but Big Raki with the inside. Great overtake from Big Raki. Up to P8 on the outside of turn 4. And we've got a yellow flag. That's Theo. Down the start finish straight. How have you lost traction down there? I don't know if he was trying to overtake somebody. He's damaged his wing as well. And it's just not his day today. Caps Lock pumps in the fastest lap of the race. The 13.495. Just not Theo's race. As Portuguese eclipses that fastest lap with a 13.2. And closing in on Lennon. As Katamis and Big Raki side by side round turn 1. But Big Raki stays ahead. Brilliant driving from those pair. You see plenty of tears as Theo's now. Yeah, I think he's probably going to pit if I am right. He's got corner cutting, so we'll probably see Theo retire if I wouldn't, because he's got to pit anyway to change his wing. It's unfortunate. He was right at the spearhead of the grid, and I think it's mainly due to his own driving. He's going to get probably speed in there. I wouldn't be surprised, but he does retire as predicted. That's unfortunate on the high from last week's win. Yeah, it just happens sometimes. But that's racing. So Callum running P1 at lap 28 and has got a good 4.5 second gap on Amadi and has chosen the best strategy. I don't know if some drivers are predicting a safety car, but all we've had is one VSC today, which is brilliant. And Callum, unless he messes up himself, will take his first podium and first win of the season, and has shown us some fantastic pace. Amadi currently running P2, which I think he'll be quite happy with. Came P10 last week after not pitting early enough when the rain came out. Again, it happens. Caps Lock P3. Could he get another potential podium? Elite Dave's now 11.8 seconds, so I don't think he's going to be closing in, but I think he'll be happy from P4 for from near the back. Great strategy call, starting on the hard tyres, and has got himself up to P4. And he didn't even pit under the VSC either, so showing some brilliant driving. Lennon currently running P5, so the Alpine boys looking like they're going to get some good points, but he's got Portuguese for company. He's pushing around turn 2, up the hill past turn 3 as Keyser getting past Katamise down turn 1. Left plenty of room. And brilliant driving. Katamise trying to switch back as he's on the inside going around turn 3 and the inside of turn 4. A little bit of wheel banging. Oh, just caught on the grass. There was enough room left, but Keyser just clipping the grass. And his car losing a bit of traction. And he's lost an end plate. Katamise up to P9. It's a tight one. Big Racky all over the back of Jax Daniels now. Fight for P7. There should be a rudimentary overtake coming up for Big Racky as we head down this 1 kilometre start finish straight. Oh, great view, look at that. As Portuguese makes the move on Lennon, Big Racky on the outside of turn 1. P7, brilliant pace from Big Racky, who started from the back of the grid as well after DQing in quali. Theo saying in the chat he hates Spain. Maybe the track, not the people. Alejandro. You got a yellow flag. Marbin Sargate letting some cars through, I think. Jalaka still needs to pit on those soft tyres. Otherwise they'll get DQ'd from the race. So Amedy's slightly closing. Not enough to worry Callan quite yet. He's closing a couple of tenths. Cap's like 5.3 seconds, so I don't think he's going to get close enough to challenge Amedy. I think good tyres will probably be getting to the nearer end of their life for the softs. As Katamise gets himself a track limit. And wide on turns 13, I think that was. Portuguese has dropped Lennon, but if Lennon stays within that 3 seconds, we'll jump up a position. Jack Daniels still behind Big Racky, so we're trying to, will they be playing DRS chicken? And Sygate going in the pits now. Has he got wing damage? He isn't, he's going to the softs, going to try and set himself a fastest lap attempt. Come on, Sygate, you can do it. As Callan comes and starts the penultimate lap. Amedy now under 4 seconds. I think Callan's not going to lose 4 seconds in the space of 2 laps. Amedy's going to be pushing for all his might. It's going to be a big feat as we come round the final corner for Big Racky and Jax. Is Jax close enough to make the overtake? I don't think he is. Unless it's going to be a late move. Not quite yet, so he's got one more lap to give it a go. Both pounding their ERS. And in 2.7 seconds, he needs to stay within that 3 seconds. Oh, Benji, no. Speed in the pit lane. Italian hand gesture. I haven't brought one of them out for a while. Hey, what you doing? Hey! As he jumps onto those soft tyres, looking for a fastest lap attempt as well. Let's see if he can bag that extra point. No damage limitations really for him. As Jack, who's gone off? Who's gone off? Who's gone off? Who's gone off? It's Big Racky on turn 9. As Giza gets himself a track limits, it's all popping off. As he's fighting with Jax, did they just collide, or was it his own doing? Down to P10, he's running so well, it's damaged his wing. But we're on the final lap now with Callum and Amadi. Amadi's now with 3 seconds behind. There's Raki going into the pits and changing his wing. Terry's getting himself up to P10 and Raki retiring. Ooh, he could have gone another lap and got some points. Oh, Raki, you missed out some points for you and your teammate. As Callum comes round the final corner and had an absolute storming race, gets his first podium of the season, his first win. Congratulations to Callum, fantastic race. Amadi comes home, P2. Capstock coming around the final corner to get another podium for the McLaren team and his podium streak. Elite Dave coming round final corner, P4. Storming drive from the back of the grid. And he'll be happy with that. Portuguese crashing home for P5 and cementing that, breaking that gap from Lennon, who crashes into him to get P6. Jax Daniel coming home P7. And Pat Katami's rounding the final corner to take P8. He'll be happy with that. And looking to crash. Oh, seems out of the way. Giza finishing his race in Spain. And takes P9. Terry's P10. I think he'd be happy with that with no practice. Some extra points for his team. Marty cheering on Benji as he comes around the final couple of corners. And we'll take the final finishing spot. And that was all down to strategy, and the driver of the day from the game was given to Elite Dave. And I think he'll be in for a shout this week as well. It's, of course, given by the drivers by vote. As Callum takes that top step and sips that sangria out of his big, massive trophy. Raki hates this game. And here's your drivers. Callum taking that top spot with Amadi P2 and Capslock P3. Brilliant from those podium sitters. Elite Dave P4 up from P14, so shows his pace. Portuguese P5 and the fastest lap with a 13.2. Lennon P6 started where he finished. Finished where he started. Bleh. Jax Daniels P7 up from P10. Katami's P8. P9 for Giza, and Terry's rounding off the top 10. Benji P11. Big Raki P12, but retired from the race. Sygate will finish P13, will get promoted. I'll have to speak to the stewards with that one. Jalaka will get disqualified because he only pit once. And Theo retiring from the race also, just not his race this week. So next week, for race 5, we head to Imola. And it's the first time we're doing a mandatory pit stop race, which means the drivers have to pit at least twice during the race. It's a any weather race, and the drivers can use any tyres, so they're not restricted to dry tyres like this week. I'm tired. I've been driving for about 6 hours today, so I am going to sort myself some food and then probably take a nap. My name is Alejandro. This is Lights Out League Racing. See you next week. Peace out.